Hello and welcome back. Going to do a little bit different today. I hurt my arm last week. Long story short, but it's been a long time since I've done a gear day to go through all my guitars and show you what I have. Matter of fact, last one I did was on June 13th of 2025, and at the time I had 5 guitars. Well, I am up to 10 now, and I actually had 12 overall because 2 of them are gone. But anyways, so we figured time for an update. So this is my 1986 Yamaha FG420L. I bought it brand new back in 1986. The first year or so I played a right-handed guitar, inverted, a borrowed one. And I decided at the time that I wanted to continue playing guitar, and so I figured I may as well learn how to play a left-handed guitar, and this was what was in the shop when I went in. So, as I say, it's a 1986, and you can tell by the Dove insignia on the headstock. It was a 1-2 year only thing, so it's a little bit of a rare guitar, and being my first one, I can't sell it. But anyways, the basic makeup is Sitka spruce top. It's kind of back and forth as to whether it's laminated or solid. I'm going to say it's laminated just because air on the side of not. So the sides and the back are a NATO. NATO is a type of mahogany. And of course rosewood fretboard, and I believe a rosewood bridge. It's been painted black, so who knows. So this was my first guitar. I love it very much. It's been through the wreckers. It's got dings and scratches here and there, and the fretboard was rather dirty for I never cleaned it in 30 years, but it's cleaned up now. So this one is a keeper. Can't get rid of it. But the next one I did get rid of, and kind of kicking myself a little bit over it. It was a 1987 Squier Stratocaster ST362L. It was a little rare that those years there was absolutely no Fender branding on it at all. You always see Squier by Fender or something like that. This only had Squier written on it. And I sold it because I don't play electric guitar very much. And it's left-handed, so I have no one to leave it to when I go. So I thought it should probably go to somebody who can make good use of it. And luckily I did find the right person to buy it. And hopefully it becomes a star. Anyways, that was my 87 Squier ST362L. And here's a picture. So I really do miss that guitar, but it's gone to a farm up north. Anyways, the next thing, that was 1987 I bought that. I had those 2 guitars until 2021, so I went 34 years without buying another guitar. And 2021, COVID, stay at home. I had always wanted a 12 string, and I found this on eBay, so I bought it. It is a 2012 S12 Coastline Seagull. I have always wanted a 12-string guitar, but being left-handed, you don't just go into a shop and pick up a left-handed 12-string and play with it to see if you really want to continue with it or anything. And I finally decided, yes, I wanted one. This was the one. I saw one online at a Canadian guitar store. We won't mention their names, but the initials are L&M. Anyways, they had one in their store down east in East Canada. And I asked them if they would like bring it up so I could try it out. And they said, well, whether you like it or not, you're going to pay to have it shipped here. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But that was in the fall. Came springtime, and I decided, yes. So I went back, and of course, it had sold. So I did a bunch of research on them, and I realized that the Seagull 12 string was a really nice guitar for the money and everything. So I contacted Seagull and said, how do I get a hold of one? Well, we don't make left-handed 12 strings anymore. So that sucked. Anyways, I kept researching back and forth here, and I found one on eBay down in the States. And so, although I'm not a buy it online person, a left-handed 12 string that people had good reviews about, I went ahead and did it. And so I did. So as I say, 2012 S12 Coastline. Top is solid cedar. Sides and back are laminated wild cherry. Neck is silver maple. Rosewood, and the nut and saddle are tusk. I actually have a separate. The first thing I did was went back to Seagull and ordered a replacement nut and saddle, because left-handed 12 string 1.8 inch wide nut, how long are those going to be available? So I did get an extra one, which is good because these ones sat in the sun and they've browned, but leaving them on there for now. I'll replace them when they need to. I have spares. So that was my 12 string. At that point, I was pretty happy. I had a 6-string acoustic, which was rather rare. I had my Squire, which was rather rare, and I now have a left-handed 12-string, which, guess what? Yes, is rather rare. But I kept on searching, always on the lookout. And then I bought a 2001 S6 Plus Burst, which is another Seagull, the 6-string. Once again, a guitar that has very, very good reviews all over the place. And this particular guitar had been lost in a store for 20 years. It was built in 2001, but it never really got to the public till 2021. And I picked it up December of 2022. It was bought for a girl for Christmas. She had it out of the case maybe once or twice in that year. I found it on Faceplant Market Space. Anyways, so it came up for sale just before Christmas, and I decided I was going to buy myself a good Christmas present. So I went to see it, and sure enough, the fretboard was like brand new. It hadn't had any markings on it at all. You could tell it was a brand new guitar, even though it was 20 years old. The only thing there was on it was there was a little mark on the back where it had been either in a stand or hanging on a wall and banging into something, because there was about a 3-inch wide, 1/4 inch just mark from being hit all the time. And I really, really liked it, but it needed a new owner as well. I'm too old to get it to mature. It needed to mature. Guitars, the more you play them, the better they sound, because the wood does mature, and this hadn't. So I decided I should sell it, and I did, to a young guy who's just starting out, and it would be a perfect first guitar for him, because it wasn't a $100 that you would pick up in the stores. So I sent it off down the road as well, and here's a picture of it. So that one had very much the same makeup as the S12, solid cedar top, laminated wild cherry sides back, silver maple neck, rosewood bridge and fretboard, tusk, nut, and saddle. And it was also the 1.8 wide neck. It was a very nice guitar. But as I say, I was not going to be able to give it the life it wanted, so it was time to go on. It was about this time I found that my original Yamaha had very high action right from the factory and contributed to all this, I believe. Not a paid promotion. But anyways, so at that point I started setting up guitars, and I went on YouTube, started looking at different videos and saying, I can do that. So I started sanding the saddles down and making sure that the height was right, doing truss rod adjustments and all that. And I thought, well, I had my 3-4 guitars and they were all done up, so why not try something else? So, Faceplant Market Space. This is a Barracuda Stratocaster, and I have had a ball playing with it. It's a very inexpensive guitar, and when I first got it, it was black with a white pickguard, knobs, and all that. I bought it, and it was very inexpensive. Came with a amp, cord, books, blah blah blah, stand, a bunch of things, extra pick guards, extra pickups. But when I went to look at it, it came with height at the 12th of over 3 millimeters. So it was horribly set up to the point where whenever you made chords, they all went sharp because there was so much room, like so much movement in the strings. And this had taught me that you go over your guitars and make sure that they're set up properly. Take them to somebody if you're not comfortable doing it yourself. Get it set up properly. Anyways, so this one I shaved down the back of the nut because it was way too high. We went over it and did all the height adjustments, how to rebuild a bridge and that. And then I decided, well, let's do some tweaking of it. I toyed with relicking it, and I don't really like the looks of those. They look so obviously relict. Unless it's something that you've had for 50, 60 years and it's worn out. But I didn't want to do that. So I had to get some touch-up paint for my car, blah, blah, blah. So I did the pickguard, the pickup covers, the actual cover that goes over the pickup, the knobs, all that sort of stuff. Did that, did the nut. And then a little while later I decided, I saw online where somebody had gone over the metal parts and sanded them, the chrome, and they came out with kind of a antique brassish type look. And so a little tough to see there, but I did that. Took all the metal parts off and sanded them basically. I did not do the spindles because you want them smooth, so I've left them. I did blacken the string trees, everything else, the back. Might also say that I also, because I was upgrading these things, I never wanted to upgrade my Strat, my Squire, because it was 1987. It was all original. There was absolutely no upgrades done other than string change. But I did decide finally to shield it, and I have shielded both this and I did the Strat videos in the past. Go look them up if you want, how to shield a Stratocaster. And I shielded this, and well, that's where that is. But this one, as I say, I don't play electric guitar very much. I had this Squire for many, many years. This was more of I was going to flip it basically. I still am. I've got it up for sale right now. If you want, you can go check it out on Faceplant Market Space. Either way, we've taken the neck off, did the frets, polished them down. I've even sanded off the back of the neck because it was kind of almost a gloss, and I like satin. So anyways, that's my Barracuda Stratocaster. We have no idea what year it is because, well, it's $100 guitar. It's very inexpensive. Now this particular one has been upgraded somewhat, so it's worth a little more now because it will take somebody from their beginners on. After that, what did I get next? Let's look it up. Oh yes. So the Barracuda had pretty much been tweaked to the best, so I kept looking on the internet, and eventually I found this, which is a 2009 Art & Luthier Cedar Antique Burst. Yes, Cedar Antique Burst. Another Godin. I had my two Seagulls and got rid of one, and I was always looking for left-handed guitars, of course, and when I found that this was also a Godin, I decided why not. So 2009 Art & Luthier Cedar Antique Burst. It came up on Marketplace. It was fairly inexpensive. It has matured. It has the thinner neck, the 1.72, but I'm okay with that. My original Yamaha was narrow, so I can switch from the wide to the narrow fairly easily. Not right now, but anyways. So it came up on Marketplace, and so I bought it and needed more guitars to do videos on, and so I brought it home and I completely did it as well. And as I said, solid cedar top, laminated wild cherry sides back, neck is maple, rosewood, tusk. And this one really has a nice sound to it. It has matured. It sounded better than the S6 personally. The S6 was bright because it was brand new. This was more mellow, more full to my ears. So I thought, why not? Now, it is a low-end guitar. Rosette is glued on. It's a surface mount rosette. Yeah, anyways. So this was my next one, and I went through all the same things with it, of updating, sanding down, cleaning inside out, all that sort of stuff. And it is a very nice guitar. I enjoy this one very, very much. It's one of my faves as well. But then again, I still had that little inkling of electric. I had the Stratocaster. Watching videos and that, everybody had Telecasters, and I didn't have a Telecaster. So I thought, I wouldn't mind having a Telecaster. So I kept looking on the internet, trying to find one, and I just couldn't find one. I found one there one time. It was well, it's still up for sale at the moment, but it was just a little too much for what it was, and I made an offer on it. Didn't hear back, so the person obviously didn't want to. So I didn't want to spend monster amounts of money on like a Fender or any of the big names, even the Squiers, although they're fairly inexpensive. I wanted something just a little different. Something, I didn't want a new one. I wanted an older one that I could work on. And you just couldn't find them. If you could find one that needed some work, it was way too expensive in the first place. If I decided that I wanted to sell it later, there was no way I could make anything on it. I'd lose or break even. So I looked around the internet a lot, and then I came up with a do-it-yourself guitar kit. Yes, I bought a Tele in a box, had it shipped to me. This is a Leo James Type TL because, well, they can't call it a Telecaster because it's not. It came with a hockey stick shaped neck on it that I had to shape myself, which I did. It was completely raw. Well, the body itself had been kind of sealed. It wasn't really finished. So I went over it and I went over the neck with boiled linseed oil, which I mistakenly put on here when you should really not do that because other finishes won't. The clear coat wasn't going to adhere. So I had to sand it all down. But the back, I went over with boiled linseed oil. The rest of the guitar, I went over with a satin polyurethane because I like the satin feel better and look. And spent 6 videos building it. Well, most of it was finishing the wood and getting everything pre-set up. It only took me the last 2 episodes, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours of actual assembly. And more than that, actually, because I had to take it apart a couple times. I had one of my videos, the camera messed up, so I had to redo the video, which meant I had to take everything apart and reassemble it. Yeah. Anyways, so that's my Type TL Telecaster type guitar. I'm planning on learning how to do lead and solos more. I've always just been strum like a rhythm guitarist, not a lead guitarist. And so I decided, I had that Strat for all those years and I didn't use it enough. I have the other Strat that I don't use enough, but this I think I'm going to try and do. So I did basically the complete build of this. So that was my Telecaster. Next after that, I wonder what it was next. I know. I found another Art Luthier. Another cedar. Just the cedar without the antique burst. This one's a model 2004. So it's a much older than the other one, but still a very nice guitar. It was very inexpensive. Once again, was never set up, so people could enjoy it. It was either too hard to play, or once again, with the setup so high, when you strum, you would go sharp. So it would make it sound like you couldn't play guitar when the guitar can't play for you. So get your guitar set up right off the bat. So I did. I bought this. I've done about a few videos on it. Not that many really on this one. I haven't even changed the strings because the strings were brand new when I got it. And it just wasn't worth putting new strings on it. I just kept the ones that were on it. And that was it. Once again, solid cedar top, wild cherry laminated sides back, maple neck, rosewood, tusk, and it's a nice guitar. But there again, like my other S6, it hasn't been used. It's very much a virgin. And it hasn't matured. So this one is going down the road as well. But once again, this would be a really nice beginner guitar. It's going to take you well into your intermediate sounds. You know, it is the low end Art and Luthier, but at the same time, it's still a nice guitar. Very much value for the money. And then I was at the guitar shop one day and I got talked into something I probably shouldn't have bought, but I'm kind of glad I did because I like the sound of it as well. I found myself another Yamaha. This is a 2014 FG 720 SL. So solid Sitka spruce top, laminated NATO sides, back, neck, NATO mahogany, rosewood. I don't know on the nut and saddle, whatever. Either way, this one, I'd been going into the guitar shops. Of course, left-handers always go in and spend the first half hour trying to find something to play. And this one had been at this one store and I played it a couple times. And it was coming up the end of the month. The guy wanted to sell something today. And so he dropped the price. It was used, of course, but I've gone over it and there is absolutely no markings on it at all. Once again, the fretboard almost like new. I don't know what it is about left-handed guitars either. All of the ones I bought were fairly well ignored. They weren't seen, other than that one Art and Luthier, the Cedar Antique Burst. It had obviously been played and was matured. The S12, it had some use on it as well, so it had matured. Of course, 12 string. Anyways, so I found this here at the store and decided I had to have it, but it really didn't need any work either. I sanded down the nut, the saddle, and that was about it. But it has a nice sound to it, and I enjoyed my first Yamaha, so why not? As I say, I probably shouldn't have bought it because I didn't need it. It didn't need me. It sounds nice, but I'm probably going to flip it too, just because I gotta clean out some of my guitars. We're getting heavy in here now. So I had this for a while, and then I found this. This is a Van Gogh VA 20 CE BKML. Less than $130 for a left-handed 12 string. And it has a pickup in it with a little EQ there. Battery's still good, but it's a left-handed 12 string. So my S12 has somewhat of a belly on it. It's eventually going to need to go in to have that fixed. It's going to be down for a little while. This way I have a spare. Left-handed 12 strings are not something you come across all the time. And if you can pick one up for $130, why not? Once again, I got it home. Action was way too high. I don't think it has much use on it either. There was a couple of little dings on the back. I really don't like the matte black complete finish. If it was just the back of the neck or the back, maybe, or something like that. And who knows, eventually I might refinish it, but who knows what's under there either. I'm guessing it's not very top end. But left-hand 12 string, why not? So I picked this one up once again, Marketplace, and I've had it for a little while. I've played it a little bit here and there when my Seagull was having a nap, but it might be going down the road too. Who knows? Left-hand 12 string, I might just keep it just because, but we'll see on that one. And then I think we're coming up to the end of what I've got. I think there was one more. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have had this before I had the second Art and Luthier. Kind of hard to tell. All of these have come since June 13th, and it's now November, June, July, August, September, October. In the last 5 months, I've got 7 more guitars. Who knows? But either way, now for the end. So just how do you know you have an addiction? You're a problem guitar buyer. It's probably when you're left-handed and you buy a right-handed guitar. Yeah, another Yamaha too. This is an FG 700 MS. It came up online and it just was too inexpensive to not. It was very well priced, and so I went ahead and bought it. This one, solid Sitka spruce top, NATO laminated, rosewood, plastic or synthetic bone. I don't know what Yamaha does with them, but the M is for matte, so it has a kind of a satin finish to it. Once again, there is like no marks on it at all. Everything looks very well. There was a little bit, I don't know if it was when it was made, almost looked like there was too much shine here, like extra finish. So I've sanded down a little bit of the heel there and just up in the corner here by the top of the neck. But once again, how could I say no? It was just way too inexpensive. The strings were actually a freebie that I talked when I bought the other Yamaha, the FG 720 SL. The guy, once I talked him down to that, I said, how about you give me a new set of strings, because I didn't like the ones that were on it that much. So he threw in a set of strings, and that's what I used on this one. Once again, had to do the sanding to get the action proper. I can't stress that enough. You buy a guitar, have it looked at to get a setup done. I do my own setups. I wouldn't do a refret or I've gone over the frets and I've used a file to just kind of even them out. I haven't done a complete dressing that way. I have polished. All of my guitars have had their frets polished and filed down the edges when necessary. But this is it, my last one, and this is actually why I'm wearing this today, because my last video was to show that you could switch from a right-handed to a left-handed. My last video was about the two Yamahas, my two latest Yamahas. I just played that one for a bit, and then I turned around and played this one for a bit. But because I've spent so much time lately working on the guitars and doing setups and all that sort of stuff and not playing as much, I wasn't ready for a workout where my hands are used to doing left-handed. They're not used to doing right-handed, where you have to reach to the other side, and that messed up my thumb. So that was pretty much it. No. One more. Yes, one more. Once again, Faceplant does its duty. I found for a really good price because it's got some marks. This is a 1998 Norman B20. Yes. B20 6-string. Left-handed. Finally went back to left-handed guitars. Once again, one of the Godin line. It is solid cedar top, wild cherry back, and it's supposed to be wild cherry laminated back and sides, but the back doesn't seem like laminated wild cherry. I'll take their word for it. Once again, maple neck, rosewood, tusk. It was set up badly too. Once again, this one does have some usage on it, so it has matured somewhat, and it has the pick guard sag where the glue has let it drop. It's a Godin thing from these certain, I think it might have been this 98, around that area. I've seen online where people have said that the glue comes loose. This one no doubt was standing up in the window, heat, glue, and dropped, so it's actually touching the bridge there. I haven't done anything other than I have tried to remove the glue that was where it was supposed to sit, but I'm not too worried about that. It is a Norman B20. It's a very nice guitar. It's still the low end of the Normans, but anytime you get a solid top guitar, and the Godins really sound nice because they all have the satin finish as opposed to the gloss. Well, some of them do have gloss finish, but most of their guitars, all the Godins, have a satin finish. And that is because with the solid cedar top, cedar is a very soft wood, so they mark very easily. But they have a really nice resonance to them. And the satin finish just pronounces that so much better. It like brings it to the top. So once again, did my video on it. Haven't really played this one too much because it was my latest one. I haven't had it all that long, but I gotta stop. I keep wanting to play and I know it's gonna hurt. So that's it. We don't know what this is. The guy I bought it from said it was a scrape. It was scraped, but to look at it, there's no markings on the wood. The wood is just discolored. Like if it was a scrape, there would be marks in the actual wood, and they are not. So I'm thinking it was a spill. Somebody spilled bleach or something on it. I've gone over it with the boiled linseed oil and the satin polyurethane, and it deadened the look a bit, but obviously not that much. I don't know if I'm gonna have to sand this down and go over it. That might be one of my videos. Who knows? At that point I'll probably look at the pickguard slide. Don't know for sure. I don't want to really mess with it because, well, it's a very nice mature guitar. So that was basically it. So I've gone through all my guitars Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Which one do you like? Which one don't you like? Tell me anything that I don't know about these guitars. If you know anything about that Barracuda Stratocaster or the Van Gogh, I'm not too up on them. Other than that, thanks for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below, blah, 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 blah. With that, we'll catch you next time. Bye now.